to 360 Sports on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashemi. Those were some exciting moments coming in from the 8th edition of the National Youth Games ongoing in Delta State, Asaba. We know that the games will climax tomorrow right there at the Keshi Stadium in Asaba. We saw some moments, some young ones doing what they know how to do best when it comes to sports. That is the way to go. From the grassroots, you catch them young. You saw the young swimmer, you saw that lady, you saw the weightlifter, and also saw that kid with karate exercise, with karate moves, and a whole lot is going on in the 8th edition of the National Youth Games in Delta State, Asaba, and that is where we'll begin from on the show this morning. We will be going straight to, we will be starting from that particular angle where they say athletics is the mother of all games, and it was all athletics yesterday at the Town track of Keshi Stadium in Asaba, Delta State, where the host team and Anambra State, the two of them are doing so well in the 200 meters and then the 4x100m relay race for female and male are doing so well for Anambra State, and also the host state Delta State, where they've shown like a million stars in for the girls 200 meters and the 100 meters girls, as in race for the girls. We have Chiguze Nwankwo, who won her second title, that is for Anambra State, in the 100 meters and 200 meters event. And then for Nwankwo, he finished second, that is in the 200 meters event, and her teammate Adaize winning the silver medals. And for the 4x100 meter, it was all a clean sweep for Delta State for the male and female event. All right, I have Dan Amashinga joining me on the show this morning to look at this, where the 8th edition of the National Youth Games is ongoing in Delta State, Asaba, and definitely we believe the games have lived up to its billings. Dan, welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. We've seen I think a very good representation from all of the states participating in the 8th edition of the National Youth Games.
All right, thank you so much for having me again on the show this morning, and thanks very much for the wonderful introduction. Good morning to our dear listeners. Yeah.
Okay, yesterday it was the 200 meters and the 4x100 meters relay race. They say athletics is the mother of all sports, of all games. And yes, it was the turn of athletics. We know that the games will come to a close tomorrow, right there at the Keshi Stadium in Asaba, Delta State. But so far, so good from day one till now. The games, what is your take? The young ones doing so well at the 8th edition.
I must confess that the standard has been quite high this season or this year. Although there are some issues that have actually rocked the games, and that has to do with age falsification here and there. But that can't take anything away from what we have witnessed in Asaba. I want to believe that going forward, I think this is the right way to go. And I'm so impressed that especially in tracks and field events, we're seeing gymnastics actually coming on board. That's one area that I really, really feel very impressed, and swimming in particular, because if you go to international meets, that's where the medal halls are. And so if we start really investing in those key areas, I think the future looks so bright for us. So these games in Asaba actually has given us an opportunity, irrespective of the little side attraction we get from time to time. But the reality is that the games has actually lived up to its billing, even though the timing has been one of the issues that some of us have actually been complaining. But even at that, I want to say that it has been a wonderful.
Okay, it's been a wonderful one coming in from Delta State. They signed an MOU with the Federal Ministry of Sports to host the National Youth Games for the next 4 years. So they are hosting the second one, so they still have 2 to go. Dan, continue.
Yeah. Okay, like I was saying before that little interruption there, I just want to let you know that the reality is that as things stands now, Delta State is doing a very yeoman's job, especially in terms of organizing these games. And year in, year out, they're turning out very wonderful athletes. We saw what these games has produced the likes of Philly and now others. And I'm sure with this edition again, there is an athlete from Gombe. I think I can't really remember her name now.
Yeah.
A sole athlete from Gombe that won about 2 years, that won some medals for the state. And that is the way to go, because you just look at your area of comparative advantage and invest in those areas. When you invest in those areas, automatically you'll be able to get the desired result. So I'm happy to say that the way things are going, the futures look so bright. I think we won't be going to the Olympics and coming out empty-handed again if we really invest in these athletes that we discover from this competition or these youth games. More importantly, I should equally commend our colleagues who are down there in Asaba right now to speak for a yeoman's job, because they've been churning out reports upon reports, and everybody's being kept abreast of what is happening in Asaba. That is actually, sport actually is actually a media event. When the media is carried along, and I'm sure most Nigerians are beginning to know who to keep track on, like you're rightly saying now, Anambra and Delta are setting the tracks on aflame, or setting them ablaze, so to say. That is to tell you that these two states had the future where we have to be looking towards in terms of producing the next athletes, the likes of the Igunike brothers of old. Now we are beginning to see the likes of the next Blessed Okabari coming out from Delta again. So I think this is a good way to go, and I'm confident that if we continue this way, I'm sure the sky should be the limit for Nigeria.
Okay, now for the Aquatic Federation of Nigeria president, that is Chioma Aliyu, she's on ground, and she's on ground, and she has come out to say yes. We saw the video clips of those swimmers that for the African Zone 2 tournament championship, they were going to select swimmer that will represent Nigeria later on in the year for the African Zone 2 swimming championship, and which is a good one and a way forward. You mentioned gymnastics, swimming. These are a lot of grounds for us to win medals. Now, what can we do to get it right in these particular two sports that you made mention from the beginning?
Okay, look at it this way. If we are able to get this out of the way by tomorrow, which is the 19th, then we should be organizing national competitions in these areas, because I want to believe if you are able to get it right in swimming, gymnastics, powerlifting or weightlifting, these are because it's becoming clear to us that these are the areas where our comparative advantages lies, especially if we're going forward in the international scene, where tracks and fields are actually beginning to produce some kind of events. But swimming is something that we are naturally endowed with in this country. You can't believe there is hardly any part of this country that there are no rivers, and there are no parts of this country that we don't have natural swimmers. All we need to do is to groom them to become international and world beaters. I think that is just the little thing that has been missing all this while. And now that we are beginning to look towards that direction, I think we should be investing more in aquatic sports and also gymnastics, because we do have children in this country, especially in private schools, who are actually interested in going into gymnastics. So the Gymnastics Federation should be able to now harness these raw materials or potentials, then mold them into and refine them into world beaters. I want to believe that if we go to international competition, before you know it, will be rubbing shoulders with the Chinese or the Chinas of this world and the Koreans of this world. Head or tail, who knows? Something might come out of it.
Okay. Now you mentioned about a cheat. Yes, we saw some states the athletes were sent back, though at least it was minimal this time around in the 8th edition when it comes to age cheat. How can we stamp out age cheat from this particular national youth games? What are the modalities that we can put up to at least bring it to the barest at least to stamp it out completely from the national youth games?
Well, we might not be able to stamp it out completely, but there are some people who are hell-bent on cheating, so they might continue in that trajectory. But there are efforts we can put in place. With a team, the federal government and agencies has mechanisms that we can be able to check some of these things. The NIM, for instance, is a very good platform through which we can be able to ascertain what is the correct age of anybody, because you can't go to the national ID card registration platform and register your age as so age, then go back and begin to change it. I mean, it's going to take a while. And most of the children, I propose that they should be in secondary school. So if they were able to really nip this thing on the board, we should have to look at the NIMS number of these children, Two, we must be able to go and verify if these children are from a particular school. Because what we're talking about, this competition shouldn't go beyond the ages of 17, I mean 15 at most. So we should be able to ascertain that these children definitely must still be in secondary school. We don't want to see men competing against children. We want to see men competing against men, children competing among themselves. And that is the fun of it. So let us not begin to look at the platform as a means of winning at all costs. Because you are a host, you want to win at all costs. I'm not alluding to anything anyway, but simply because you are hosting does not mean that you need to sweep all the medals. This is a developmental program. So let us look at it from that perspective, so that we can be able to have athletes that can last long when they break into the national scene.
Okay, and now for Delta State governor, that's the host state governor, he actually he told the minister that the age should be reduced, maybe from I think 15. He made mention of I think either 13, 15. I don't know if you are in support of the Delta State governor asking the ministry to reduce the age at least from 17. At least they should still bring it downwards.
Well, I don't want to really, with due respect, I don't want to say I disagree with him totally. But I want to say that there could be a modification to that. I want to believe that this should be like a stopgap to the juniors and the senior category. So when we bring it so low to the level of maybe 12, 10, then automatically it will take the grace of God for you to begin to build these athletes back to where they are supposed to really take off. But if you leave it at the way it is now, when we're saying about 13, 15, okay, 15, 16, you can be able to compete at any international event. So invariably, like gymnastics, you don't need somebody who will be competing at the, youth games to stay 3, 4, 5 years. I'm sure you should be able to graduate to the junior cadre. Then from the junior cadre, can compete at international events. But if you now begin to bring it so low, except maybe we're turning it to a primary school and nursery school games, then we can do that. But if we're turning it to a national youth games, as the name implies, youth, you say, youth is said it must be within teenage brackets. I think so.
Okay, all right. It's a good one for the 8th edition of the National Youth Games in Delta State, Asaba. The event will come to a close tomorrow, and it's going to be a very exciting closing ceremony at the Keshi Stadium in Asaba, Delta State. All right, let's leave the National Youth Games and talk another sport that Nigeria is picking up and doing so well. This time around, we'll look at cricket. Yes, it is the cricket under 19 World Cup qualifiers. The list was released on Tuesday, and then we have Lucky Pite, who's going to captain the team for the qualifiers, the under 19 qualifiers, which will run from 22nd to 29th in Rwanda. Kigali precisely is the place for this particular championship. Let's quickly look at some names. We have the likes of Adekunle, Shola Adekunle. We have Lilian Ude. We have Christabel Chukunonye. We have Kehinde Amusa, Anointed Ahigbe, Peace Ibsen, Deborah Bassi, Egwakin, Omoshiego. We have Victory Benedion. We have Inye Ubong. We have Naomi Meme and Beauty Ogwai. All of these names, as you can see on the screen, Judith Anthony, they will be representing Nigeria at the under 19 qualifiers. Then Nigeria, when it comes to cricket, I think we have a very we are improving day in, day out, and it's a massive improvement for us. And for the under 19 female World Cup qualifiers, which will go on in Kigali, Rwanda, I believe these girls are battle ready for the qualifiers.
Yeah, they could be very battle ready, but the reality is that we have some very strong teams in our group that will be competing against from this 22nd to 29th. And we have the likes of Zimbabwe in particular, which I think is one of the strong teams we need to really be very wary of. Tanzania is also there. And then we have Malawi. Southern Africa naturally are very good at cricket, and they've been already adopting it as one of their national sports. So whatever it comes out of it, it's like these are developmental. Like I keep on saying, these are developmental things. So it's not about winning at all costs. It's about trying to give a good account of yourself. Try to make sure that you're able to take it to the next level. This is an African zonal qualifiers, and I want to believe that the Sarah tutored side will do the nation proud, because I do believe that they got a good result in Ghana. That is where they qualified to represent to this level. And I want to look at it from the perspective that where the Cricket Federation of Nigeria is doing everything possible to popularize the game in Nigeria. And this is an opportunity for it to take it to another level. More so, especially our ladies now. These ladies are actually going out to be good ambassadors of Nigeria. I want to believe that this 40-man strong playing team will go to Rwanda and Kigali, precisely the capital, and do our nation a lot of proud, because we want to see that the green yellow will come back home with something and say, okay, our cricket team has arrived.
Yes, our cricket team has arrived. The ticket, at least we will pick, the event will be coming up in Malaysia. So the winner of this qualifier will represent the continent in that particular under 19 Cricket World Cup women's event that will be coming up with stage in Malaysia, that is in the Asian country. And for the Cricket Federation of Nigeria, thumbs up for them, because they've been doing well, like Dan mentioned, to popularize this particular sport in the country. But Dan, let's quickly look at this. For the Nigerian Cricket Federation, I think they deserve all the commendation that they can get from Nigerians, because if you look for the past 4, 5, 6 years right now, cricket has actually improved massively in Nigeria, on the continent of Africa. And we were given, the ICC at least gave us that recognition as the fastest growing country in cricket.
Yeah, I say it, and let me repeat myself. I want to commend the Nigerian Cricket Federation. The reality is this: when you begin to embark on grassroots competition, they did a lot of competitions in Lagos Axis in the last couple of years. Most of these players you are seeing are product of those past competitions. And now that they are gradually getting to the age of 19, we have a future in cricket, both male and female. And kudos to the Nigerian Cricket Federation. All that is left now is corporate Nigeria to ensure that they support the federation. We should not just be putting all our eggs in one basket by just focusing on football and other sports, more popular sports like handballs and basketball. Let's deviate a bit to other lesser known sports, but which are equally as lucrative and employment generating as football is too. So if some people want to take into cricket, let us create the platform for them to excel in cricket. If they want to take into ice hockey, if at all we can get the ice, let us do it that way. If you want to take it to any sport that any Nigerian desire to go into, let us create the enabling environment for them to thrive on.
Okay, let's create an enabling environment for them to thrive on. And for cricket, good one. I love the commendation for the Nigerian Cricket Federation, led by Akpata himself, who is the president of the Nigerian Cricket Federation. They've been doing well, and the program, 1,000 cricketers from the street, that program is still ongoing. It was launched in the south-south zone of this country by the inspirational captain Blessing A-Team herself, and she's doing a lot for this particular sport in the south-south region, starting from her own state, Akwa Ibom. So she has produced a lot of players for the Nigerian national team. And for our women, no wonder they won the bronze medal for the first time at the African Games, where cricket was debuting also for the first time in African Games right there in Ghana. All right, let's switch gear a little bit. Let's leave cricket and talk football. But this time around, we'll start with the 2025 CHAN. Yes, finally, in the course of the week, Kenya, and we have a host for the 2025 CHAN. And now a new date has been set. It has been an issue for CAF, Dan, not having a hosting country for CHAN 2025. But eventually, we have Kenya who will be hosting the CHAN 2025. And also, the date was not really set when Kenya opted to host it. But now we have a new date for CHAN 2025.
Maybe one of the reasons why most of the countries are really lukewarm towards hosting CHAN has always been because it's less glamorous compared to the AFCON itself. So maybe that was why we've been finding it difficult. And the title sponsors for the competition is really, really, really low, because this is more or less made up of basically local players. So I want to believe that could have been the reason why this was happening. But now that Kenya, who incidentally will also be hosting the AFCON much later in years to come, actually given the opportunity, I strongly believe that Kenya will give a good account of themselves. from the 1st of February 2025 to 28th or thereabout. I think Chan will be hosting. I mean, Kenya will be hosting Chan teams from the continent, which is basically teams consisting of players playing within the continent. But more importantly, let us talk more of our country, Nigeria, where we're still battling to get a foreign coach. Now we didn't get a foreign coach. Now even the Chan qualifiers that will be starting in October, we don't have a coach for it. The NFF is here to name a coach. I hope they'll be able to do that before the end of the month.
Okay, well, they should be able to do that before the end of the month. But still talking about Chan, the first round of qualifiers will be from the 25th and 27th of October, and then the event itself in 2025 will be played from 1st to 28th February. Then Nigeria has not really been doing well in this particular Chan competition. We've not really had it rosy. The last time out, we didn't even qualify under Coach Salisu Yusuf. But this time around, do you think Nigeria can qualify and play in 2025?
Well, something tells me that we'll do better this time around. The statistics are out there because before now, prior to this period, most of the reason why we're not qualifying is because we were running our bridge league. The league was not standard, but now that we're having a straight league, so to say, and the players are up and doing, we should be able to, select players devoid of sentiment and emotions and get the right team and get the right coach who actually knock these boys together. And with the league really running, I want to believe we should be able to qualify this time around because the issue of fitness, the issue of preparedness might not really be there like it were in other past editions, where we just have to assemble players based on their pedigree, personal pedigree, not because of their match fitness or because they are really up and doing. And coaches were selected based on certain primordial sentiments. But again, if we can get those two factors out of the way, I see no reason why we will not be able to qualify. More also, if we qualify, I'm sure we'll be able to do well in Kenya. Because I want to believe that the nucleus of any national team should not be based on the foreign players or legions of foreign players. There should be infusion of local players to any national team. That is what makes it what it is. But if you begin to rely solely on professional players based abroad, we do know that the season is just fresh in Europe, and injury might crop up from time to time. We might not pray for that, but then these are inevitable facts in football. So we should be able to now have players from the local league that can be able to be drafted at short notice into the main team. So this Chan team we're talking about should be able to have it coached by the end of this month at worst, and then we should be able to prepare in the next 2-3 weeks to start playing the qualifiers.
Okay, before we start playing the qualifiers, and still dwelling on that, I have to take you on this quickly. Just let's slide into it quickly. On the flip side, for Coach Aliu Zubairu, he has been appointed as the Flying Eagles coach. We know that Landa Boso used to be the Flying Eagles coach, but for the choice of Coach Aliu Zubairu, how did you? What's your take on the choice of Aliu Zubairu for the Flying Eagles team?
The short answer is I don't have a choice. That's just the answer. So what will I say? They are funding worthy, and he has brought the team from NL1 to Premier League. So those are the criteria they have used. He won the Federation Cup. And so maybe those are the reasons why they felt he was the right person. So here he is as the coach. So I think there's absolutely nothing one can say other than to say.
In Delta State, Asaba, we saw the swimming event. We saw the karate. We saw that is the judo event. A whole lot of events right there at the 8th edition of the National Youth Games going on in Asaba, Delta State. We'll just be looking at some highlights of this game and other highlights of sports on the show this morning. We are looking at football highlights, some kids doing what they know how to do best when it comes to the run-leather game. Welcome back from that particular video break. We saw those highlights from the National Youth Games in Delta State, Asaba. All right, I will be leaving the shores of the country and go straight to Europe. Yes, it is a different format for the newly UEFA Champions League, a new format for the Champions League, different from what we normally see with the UEFA Champions League, but this time around it's being played on phases and in a league format. 36 teams participating in the new format of the UEFA Champions League, and it was packed action yesterday night in stadiums across Europe, and we had some interesting results from the UEFA Champions League games last night, and we'll be looking at those results quickly. Real Madrid, the winners of the UEFA Champions League multiple times, at least they left it late. Rudiger, Hendrick and co coming into the rescue to get those goals for Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu. The Merengues, as they are called, the White Angels. And for AC Milan, somebody said they looked for Liverpool trouble, and it was they lost at San Siro. If you can remember what happened in Istanbul in 2004, the miracle of Istanbul. AC Milan, Liverpool final. Remember that? Liverpool coming from behind to win that game penalties, and they lifted the trophy. And also we had some interesting results for Aston Villa, returning back to the Champions League for over 4 decades. And now they got it right in their first game against Young Boys of Switzerland. They went away, far away Switzerland, and they got a 3-0 win in their own game. And Juventus also starting well at the Allianz Arena in Italy against PSV Eindhoven of Netherlands. A whole lot of interesting games and results in the UEFA Champions League. I'll quickly run over the results and we'll look at it one after the other. Dan will look at some of these results together. Okay, Juventus, like I said, they beat PSV Eindhoven 3-1. Young Boys lost at home to Aston Villa 3-0. And AC Milan also lost at home at San Siro Stadium. They lost 3-1 to Liverpool, and we have Bayern Munich they demolished Dynamo Zagreb 3-2, and for Hurricane getting, in fact, he cannot stop scoring. It's part of the goals in that particular game. And then we have that is against Dynamo Zagreb 9-2. Real Madrid, like I said, left it late to beat VfB Stuttgart 3-1. And then we have Sporting CP of Portugal beating Loxley 2-0 at home. So it's quite an interesting game. Dan, if you're there, let's look at the Champions League together. Interesting result in match day 1 of the new format of the UEFA Champions League.
All right, thank you very much. I don't think one good thing about these results is that almost all the big teams are actually on course in this, because you just have to win. If you have even opportunity to win, we saw the big teams like Real Madrid, we're seeing Bayern Munich, we're seeing Juventus, we're seeing, of course, Sporting. Sporting actually winning. We want to believe that this is the opportunity where the format have changed. So every game has its own dynamics, and you must have to just win and win, because it's a league format, and I think is the at the end of the day, it's just going to be based on the performance at the league that will be able to qualify you to the next round. So if you have opportunity to win it, you just have to pick your points right now, because it might come to the little details like a goal difference, and head to head and stuff like that. So you're getting a away winner, it counts a lot. You're getting the points, it counts a lot. Unlike before that, most of these things were actually not there. Now this system have changed, the format have changed. So teams are all going all out to get the votes. I'm happy that Real Madrid has to come from behind to really win, because it would have been disastrous that if they have started the campaign on a losing side or on a draw, because with the kind of accusations they have in that team, everybody had expected them to run over most of the teams. So I'm happy to see that the English teams like Liverpool and Aston Villa too are really giving a good account of themselves. Last season, we were not too happy to see that the English team, when it mattered most, they were able to really come to the party. They lost out in the semi-final stages. And of course, we saw that even though Manchester City was trying to do all they could to see that they go far, but again, at the end of it all, they didn't really sum up. But this time around, I'm sure everybody knows that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of excitement in this format from my reading of the situation, because it might look as if somebody who you least expect, because I'm beginning to see some home teams actually losing at home. And if we keep on seeing that happening over and over again, that implies that you just have to get your points both at home and away. And I think that is going to be the turning point of the competition. I sincerely hope that this momentum we saw in the first day, match day one, will continue in subsequent matches. Like today, we're still going to be seeing some very interesting games today.
Okay, we're going to be seeing some interesting games today, and definitely we'll be having those games on the evening show. There's a good one for the English teams yesterday. Aston Villa and Liverpool getting away wins on match day one of the UEFA Champions League. This time around, it's a different format, like you heard from Dan. Little details can just cost you the next round of the competition. But this time around, a league format, it's going to go down to the number, in fact, the amount of points that you can amass from your group that will qualify you for the next round. And the other teams who follow from number 1 to 8 will qualify for the next round, and the other teams will fall down too. That's the Europa League, the second tier competition, and the teams occupying the bottom of the table from 20, I think from 20 down, will go out of UEFA Champions League, all of the UEFA club competitions completely for the season. You know, before in the former format, when you lose, you fall back to the Europa League, but this time around, it's no longer. It has changed format. When you don't get your points, you are out of the UEFA Champions League. All right, let's still stay in Europe, but this time around we'll look at some cup game in England. It was the English Football League Cup third round result. That is the Carabao Cup, as we call, or you say Carling Cup. There were games yesterday, and Manchester United fans, some of them are saying yes, Man U is back, but no matter how they are back, they still it is when they play the big boys we'll know if definitely they are back. There were games last night also. Let's look at those results. Stoke City and Fleetwood Town played a 1-1 draw at the end. Stoke City wins 2-1 on penalties, and for Blackpool, they were pipped by Sheffield Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, and they pipped Blackpool 1-0. Brentford beat Leyton Orient. Brentford coming back from that game because they were losing 1-0 before they got they equalized and got that win 3-1 against Leyton Orient. And Everton and Southampton played a 1-1. Everton lost to Southampton 6-5 on penalties. And from Preston North End and Fulham, it was 1-1. Iwobi scoring the 14th spot kick of this particular game. But at the end, Preston North End wins 16-15 on penalties. Wow, massive one. They had to stretch it. And then for QPR and Crystal Palace, it was also a 1-1 draw. Crystal Palace beating QPR 1-0 in that particular game. It's a mix-up there. And for Man United, they hammered Barnsley 7-0 nil. Rashford, Garnacho, and Tony all getting goals in that particular game. Dan, quickly, one or two about Manchester United. They say they are back. How sure, how true is that?
I'm suspecting you too, because it's like you're not a Man U fan, because the way we hammer this, they say they are back, and you keep on telling us that okay, and let them play the victims. I'm beginning to suspect that you have something against Man U. But be that as it may, I think it's a good confidence building mechanism for Manchester United. Even though I've never been a fan of Man U in the real sense of it, but I think this is good for the boys. And I'm sure with this kind of win, I think it will bring back the confidence. But only fear in all this is this: the boys are really playing too many matches at the same time, and I'm sure many players are actually complaining of it already, even though the league is just starting. This is going to be another competition that there is money in it, and the owners of the clubs want every competition the teams to participate. Well, the hope will not be borne out before the end of the season.
Okay, I hope they will not be born out before the end of this season. All right, let's look at some transfers on the show this morning. We'll start with this particular one. Yes, he's a big player who has played on the biggest stage in world football for country and club. We're talking, let's come back home and look at this player, who is no other person than Super Eagles captain, former Super Eagles captain. Okay, not former yet, because we're still waiting for Ahmed Musa. Ahmed Musa, as it is now, Rangers keen on Ahmed Musa. Dan, I think if this is anything to go by for Ahmed Musa, it's going to be a good one for us to have Ahmed Musa playing in the Nigerian Premier Football League. He has played with us before leaving the shores of this country. He came back, second missionary journey with Kano Pillars before he left, and now Rangers, the defending champions of the NPFL, are looking maybe if they can sign him, if they can get him on their side.
Well, who would like to have a leader in his team? I think it's a good thing, because this is the national team captain, or he has been a captain for a while. And leadership is what the Rangers team need now, especially if they are to conquer Africa. And I'm sure, even though I was completely wrong when I was looking at Remo Stars as a team that I thought would do us proud, but Rangers is still flying the flag. So at this point, everything they can do to ensure that they get it right at the continental level, I think is a welcome development. When they have a player of Ahmed Musa's status in that team, I think it will give a lot of the younger players a lot of confidence and self-belief that they can go far. So I think that is the essence why I want to believe they are pursuing him. And I think if he's injury free and is okay by it, I think he should be able to still avail us. We still need more of him. Rabiu is still playing for Kano Pillars, so Ahmed Musa is not too old to lace his boot for any team in Nigeria or for any club side in Nigeria. So I'm looking forward to see big names, like I said on Saturday and Sunday when we had this match in Mina here. After a while, Niger Tornadoes was here. I said we want to see big team or big time players back in the league, and I'm sure with this kind of players on the league, it will not just attract the players, fans to the stadium. It will also make a big statement whenever he's going out of the country to play against any team in the continent. People want to see who is Ahmed Musa, and Ahmed Musa lacing his boot for Rangers International will be a plus for Rangers.
Okay, will be a plus for Rangers. Now let's go to Europe. Real Madrid, this time around, we'll go to Europe. Real Madrid targets Man City midfielder Rodri. Fantastic midfielder. Quickly, Dan, one or two about Rodri. If eventually Rodri would join the Man City, though they are targeting him, it's now left for Rodri to accept if he's going to leave Etihad.
If Real Madrid targets you and shows interest in you, I don't think you have any option but to say you are just coming. So I think you'll be flattered to be ready, to be associated with that kind of move. So I want to believe that if it's a solid approach, I strongly believe that you might be tempted to move. But again, the question has always been that what does really Real Madrid want? Do they have to buy all the players in the continent into that team? I think it is not being fair to other teams.
Okay, they are becoming fair to other teams. And this time around, let's look at Man City. They themselves are also just the way the statement you made again for them. Man City are also doing the same thing that Real Madrid are doing. This time around, Man City are confident that they will be signing Jamal Musiala of Bayern Munich, a fantastic young man who is doing everything, getting everything right when it comes to the run leader game. We know that he has a root, a Nigerian origin.
Yeah, Masola is a wonderful acquisition by any team, and I strongly believe that if it pulls through, it will further solidify the place of Manchester City in the EPL. And like I said just a few seconds ago concerning Real Madrid, that is perhaps already they're already facing a disciplinary hearing on some of the fair play issues. So let us have an even playing field for teams to recruit. Even if you have the resources, I think there should be that kind of a cap that you shouldn't go beyond. And when we begin to get all the, just like I keep on telling people, this Chelsea buying almost all the most terrific young players in the planet into that team, and at the end of it, some of them will waste their talent. Manchester City actually has this policy of just going for specific area they need reinforcement. So if Roderick is being tempted out of the team, of course they know that Musala will be another very wonderful acquisition to fill that void space.
Okay, to fill that voice play, Jama Musiala, fantastic young man. So looking at some transfers on the show, let's take this one. Man United shows interest in Dortmund striker Karim Adeyemi. This is also a Nigerian, but he's not playing for Nigeria at all. Karim Adeyemi, fantastic guy. We saw what he did in the Champions League final for Dortmund against Real Madrid last season.
Yeah, Adem is another wonderful player. But the truth of the matter is that, well, whether the good thing is that they bear Nigerian names, and we're so proud of them that they have Nigerian ancestry in them. But then players will always move when the right price comes, when the right atmosphere appears. Because the reality is that players have very limited time. Unlike some of us who can be doing whatever we're doing for years, players has a gestation period. 20 to 29, 28, they are almost past their peak. So they make do of all the opportunity that comes their way. So if he has the right price, if he has the right atmosphere and his guarantee of a place where he's going to, I'm sure he's going to go to the right place and perform. Because if he doesn't perform, it's like you are as good as the last match you play. So sometimes again, before you take this leap, you must have to look carefully before you take the leap. I remember vividly, I did a show somewhere and I was telling people that Osimhen, sorry for bringing diversion, Osimhen should have left Napoli when the ovation was loud. He refused to leave, and when he wanted leaving, we have issues now with him. So sometimes players should just look carefully before they leave, and sometimes again you have to leave when the ovation is very loud.
All right, you have to leave when the ovation is loud. The last one on the show this morning, he left Manchester United, and now AEK Athens closed on Anthony Martial's deal. Eventually, if is anything to go by, Anthony Martial might just be playing for AEK Athens of Greece sooner than we expected after leaving Manchester United as a free agent. All right, Dan, this is where we'll be leaving it on the show, 360 Sports this morning. Thanks for coming on the show. It's a good one having you on 360 Sports.
It's my great pleasure you having me, and thanks for all the viewers and for all the feedbacks we'll be getting from time to time.
All right, that is it on the program. I am Emmanuel Fashemi. Thanks for watching.
Understand also that Dremel stars are always strong when it...
The earlier live coverage said this was strike low.